Okay, so now we're recording, okay? So yes, so talking about the three different kinds of people worshipping impersonalists, demigod worshippers, and worshippers of this material world. So those were the three kinds of people that Krishna was highlighting. And then, so that's what we discussed in the last verse. So let me just share my screen for a second. Okay. So then there was this verse, which is one of my favorite verses, that Krishna is saying that I'm everything, right? Whatever you think of, I'm it. I'm the goal, I'm the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, sorry, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I'm the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the rest place, and the eternal seed. That included everything what we do. So Krishna is there, is in everything. He's everything. So the easiest way is to go to him directly, not to go to him indirectly. And I briefly touched upon that also last week, that many a times we claim that in our bhakti, oh, I'm doing this also for Krishna, I'm doing that also for Krishna. Oh, so we should try to do as much direct worship as we can of Krishna. Indirect is fine, there's no harm, but we should try to do as much direct worship as we can do. 9 things given by Prahlad Maharaj. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pad Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanivedanam. At least we can do the first 7, if not the last 2. The last 2 are more of spontaneous. Sakhyam and Atmanivedanam. They are mostly spontaneous, but the others we can do consciously. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Pad Sevanam, Vandanam, Dasyam. All that we can do consciously. So we should try to do as much direct service we can for Krishna. That is why Prabhupada has told us that the essence is chanting. So if we make chanting the main thrust of our lives, everything will work out eventually. If we take care of our chanting take care of us. That's why it's directly, that's a direct method of worship. That includes kirtanam and so smaranam. Both of those aspects are included in chanting. So that was an important thing that Krishna is highlighting in that. "19 is also what we did. So okay, so 20 now. So till 19, Krishna was he's talking of non-worshippers, but he's also telling about his. So he's giving a contrast. You know, this is what you have out there. This is what I'm asking you to do. I'm the source of everything. So please come to me directly. Don't try to go indirectly and elongate the path as well as complicate the path. So now Krishna is going to specifically tell something about demigod worship from 20th verse onwards. He's going to talk about demigod worship in a bit detail, right? So in this verse, let's look at this verse first. Krishna is saying, Traividya mam soma pahaput papa yagir ishtva swargatim prarthayante. Te punyam ashadya surendra lokam ashnanti divyam divideva bhogan. So we discussed about Vishwaroop and how we can remember Krishna by this. Everything that exists is a combination of matter and spirit, right? Therefore, Krishna is the beginning and he's all in all, right? So here, in this chapter, Krishna is connecting everything to himself. All leads to him. So now, so we talked about 3 things, right? Ekatvena, Prithakvena, Bahuda Vishwato-mukham. Prithakvena were demigod worship. So Krishna is now going to talk about them. Prithakvena. Right? So what happens to them? What do they do? So what do they do is they study the Vedas, drink soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. So it's so they attain swarga, right? We in India, when somebody dies, we call him swargavasi. So and Krishna is talking about Traividya. Traividya means three Vedas, Rik, Sam, and Yajur. And there are many reasons why he doesn't include the fourth one, Atharva. There's some mention that earlier there were only three of these, and then some even say that Atharva was not that important, so Krishna didn't mention it. Atharva Veda consists mostly magical, chants and all that, so it's not that important. So there are many of those, but yes, he's talking about three Vidyas. Vidya means three Vedas. And he said by following those practices given in the three Vedas, we can attain Swarga. Swarga, right? Surendra Lokam. So Sura of Indra. So Indra is the head of all Sura. Sura is the good people. Asura and Sura, there are two categories. So he's head of Sura. So he's called Surendra. So Sura, Indra. So Indra is the head of all the Suras. Loka, the planet of Indra. So what do they drink is Soma. Now, you might have heard that Soma might be a sort of an intoxication, but it's not an intoxication similar to the intoxication we have in this world here. In this world, when somebody gets intoxicated, it's more like a self-chosen state of madness that people jump into. But Krishna is here talking about something entirely different. Right? Alcohol in this world takes our consciousness downwards, but Soma tends to take it upwards. Right? So there's a difference between Soma and the intoxication we have in this world. So it's a drink that is, when people take that, they're praying for going to heaven. They're asking for elevation from to higher levels, even though in this material world, but going into higher levels. Right? So putpapaha. So the word putpapa means becoming purified of papa. Yagir Ishtava. They're actually worshipping Krishna. Right? So the word, where's that word? Traividya Mam. The word Mam comes here. So Mam is for me. So that's for Krishna. So Krishna is saying that they are Yagir Ishtava. So they are praying to me. But that's it indirectly. Once again, that's the point of importance here. They're doing it indirectly. So when people have done a lot of Vedic, they have followed the Vedas, they acquire punya, and they attain Surendra Lokam, kingdom of Indra. Then they enjoy celestial delights there. Right? Celestial delights. So the word here now, there's a word that's being used by Krishna is Divya. Okay, so Divyan. So the word Divya, we have heard it many in the other chapters also. In 4.9 also Krishna talks of Divya. Janma karma chame divyam. Evam yoveti tatvataha. There the meaning of the word Divya is transcendental. Here the word of Divya means celestial. Right? So as we all know, there are three levels of existence. There is terrestrial, earth, right? The prefix terra means earth. So terra firma, terrestrial, so terrestrial is of this earth. Then there is celestial. There is a higher level of existence. And then transcendental, spiritual. It's not just higher, but it's higher than material existence. So here the word Divya means celestial. That's the difference. It's a different use of the word Krishna is doing. So Bhagavad Gita as a whole does not push us towards seeking higher material happiness. Okay. There are people who misinterpret Bhagavad Gita in that way, but Bhagavad Gita never does that. But it asks us to seek higher than material happiness. Right? So some people interpret Bhagavad Gita as saying that, okay, it's teaching us how to become happy within this material domain. Well, surely Bhagavad Gita helps us with that, but that's not the goal. The goal is to seek something beyond this material happiness, right? So, but the people who are worshipping demigods, these Traividya people, what they are trying to do is they are not happy with the happiness in this world. They say it's not enough for me. I need more. I have read in the Vedas that in Swargaloka there are rivers of juice. The weather is perfect. Your your body does not smell. You are you're very tall. You're very beautiful physically, and you can enjoy much more without losing stamina. You don't get old. It's not as if that your organs start failing pretty quickly here, within 60, 70 years. But then in the heavenly planets might be thousands of years. So the thought is that, okay, I want to enjoy more. This enjoyment in this world is not enough for me. That is why people worship the demigods. They're trying to enjoy more in this material world itself, right? So that's what so Krishna is mentioning, that people who worship the demigods, they enjoy godly delights there. Okay, they enjoy godly delights at the higher planetary system. Right? So, but then in the next verse, Krishna will mention that when they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure, and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. So Krishna is giving us the essence of that, what happens after they enjoy, right? So they have collected some punya, some pious credits, and then they go up to the higher planets, they enjoy. But what happens after that? They surely enjoy vastly. There was a word, vishalam. The enjoyment is vast for sure, no doubt about that. But then again, it's vast, heavenly sense pleasures, still entangled in the sensually pleasures. But once they are exhausted, their vishala is exhausted. So Krishna is saying that they return to this mortal planet again. So they have to come back here. It's not as if they can permanently stay in the higher planets. Right? So, so they come back to this gata gatim, kama kama labhante. It says gata gatim, gata agatam. So gata agatam means death and birth. So they come back to this planet of death and birth. Okay. And then another phrase that's being used here, Krishna uses kama kama. Kama kama. So kama kama means desiring sense enjoyment. So they're desirers of, they have a desire for desires. I don't know how to put that. They have a, they have intense desires for, they're desiring. So they're desiring sense enjoyments. So they're kama kama. Desirers, I'm sorry, I just keep it. Desirer of desires. So kama kami is an interesting way of putting it. So Krishna also uses this earlier on in the second chapter. Krishna, he uses this phrase again. Apurimanam achalam pratishtham samudram apa pravishanti yadvat tadvat kama yam pravishanti sarve sashanti mapnoti na kama kami. So if you want to get happiness, you have to not be a kama kami. And it's a so a person 2.70 explains about a person who never gets disturbed by desires, like an ocean. So yes, that's a good way. Yes, Pooja is saying that, can we describe this as lusty for desire? Yes, that's a good way of putting it. So that's kama kami. But if we want to have peace, we have to go. You don't have to be lusty of desires. You have to be like an ocean, right? So what Krishna is mentioning in these two words is that ultimately demigod worship is also centered around some selfish desires, that I want something. It can give temporary benefits, but for an intelligent person, temporary benefits are not enough. Any intelligent person would preferably look for something that is permanent, right? And as long as we aspire for anything that is less than eternal happiness, we are selling ourselves short. We are underutilizing our potential. Krishna has told us we are not this body, we are souls, and our capacities are unlimited. We are Satchid Anand. So we are full of bliss. The word Anand being there, full of bliss. But I'm selling myself short by looking for Ananda in material benefits. So Krishna is indirectly asking us, please don't fall prey to this, right? And what's more, Krishna is also going to mention in the next verse that demigod worship requires complex ritual. So he's told in the last verse, Traya Vidya, right? So they have to go through the philosophy and the principles of the three Vedas, right? But in comparison, bhakti is much, much simpler. Worshipping Krishna is much, much simpler, right? And that is what we are actually looking for. That will give us the complete happiness that we are looking for, right? So just consider that your good karma is like credits in our bank account, right? So if once I have a lot of saving, I can take a vacation, I can go to Hawaii, have some fun. But when I run out of money, I have to come back to my original position and start working again to earn more. So I have to come back in this material world again, cutthroat competition, there is stress, anxiety, there is constantly a thought of how to get a promotion, how am I going to pay my debts and my credit bills and so on and so forth. But having a peaceful life is more desirable. It's much more desirable. And that's what Krishna is going to highlight in the following verses. And as we read today's section, please focus on the contrast that Krishna gives us. So what I mean is that, so in 20 and 21, Krishna has talked about people who are materially motivated and trying to go to higher planets. But in 22, what he's bringing out is says that, but those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So this is in contrast to what he has said in 20 and 21, that people go in the higher planets and then they enjoy and they come back here. So in these verses, Krishna is going to directly compare material pleasures and ways of attaining those with spiritual pleasures and a very simple way of connecting with Krishna, which will give us that. So pure devotional service. So he's contrasting demigod worship with his own worship, pure devotional service. So please note that contrast that in the few verses that we'll do today. So Ananyas Chintayanto. So this verse is Ananyas Chintayanto Ma. So Ananyas means having no other object. Chintayo means concentrating, right? So Ananyas Chintayo, fixing mind on me, worship me. So those who are constantly absorbed in Krishna, Krishna protects what they have. This is a very nice, a very hope-giving verse. Yoga Kshemam Vahamiham. I carry what they lack. So he's saying carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So it's a very hope-giving verse. Right? So this illustrates Krishna's personal intervention and care for those who personally approach him. Right? He reciprocates. He takes personal responsibility to protect them. Right? This verse is very, as I said, very reassuring. It's a faith-building verse and very inspiring for devotees. We can contemplate on this verse. Each and every single verse of Bhagavad Gita is like a temple in itself. You can enter into the verse, you can offer praise to the verses and reciprocate with that verse, right? For example, in this verse, you can contemplate on this verse and see how Krishna, in his pastimes, demonstrates this action, right? that I carry what you lack and I carry what you lack and I preserve what you have. Can anybody think of any incidents from Krishna's pastimes where Krishna demonstrates this verse? Anything? Anybody? Krishna's pastime, Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Can you think of any pastime where Krishna reciprocates?
Hare Krishna, I think I can maybe.
Yes, please, go ahead.
So I think I'm really not sure if this is a relevant example, but when Lord Brahma came and stole all of his friends, he sort of remade them, like they were absent, and I guess the community was lacking them. So he remade them. And then, like, when the time was right, he knew that they were safe in the heavenly dimension, and then they came back.
Yes, you can say that, yes, because if those children and the cows would have disappeared, the Brajvasis would have become anxious. Where are my children? Where are my cows? So Krishna was protecting them. He personally intervened and fulfilled their desires. Yeah, that's a good example, good pastime there. Any other pastimes anybody can remember? Ananyas Chintayanto Mam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, is it like Dhruva Maharaj? How he wanted, a house bigger than his father's father, but then when he met the Lord, he only wanted the Lord's mercy.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yes, when Dhruv Maharaj went out to meditate, he was looking for a bigger empire than his grandfather. But then when Krishna came and Krishna Vishnu came, he touched his head with his conch shell, immediately gave him all the knowledge, and then and then he was. I'm sorry, I have hiccups today. And he Dhruva Maharaj realized that what was he missing? What was he asking for? And he accepted that I was looking for broken glass, and here I'm getting jewels actually. So he realizes that. Yeah. So yeah, so Krishna is so Krishna is giving his expectation here to us.
So Sudama was the other example, right, Prabhuji?
Sorry, can you repeat, Mother?
Sudama was the other example.
Yes.
When Sudama went to see Krishna Bhagwan in his palace in Dwarka, he had nothing to offer but a pinch of rice in his hand. And he didn't want to give that rice to Krishna because it was just so little and all broken up. But Krishna took the rice and, ate the rice, and Rukmani was like, by him eating that rice. And in return, Krishna gave him the palace,
Yeah. He knew what Sudama was coming to ask him for. He already knew that. Sudama didn't have to tell him that. Yes. Yeah, that's also another good example. Yes, so Krishna reciprocates. He knows what is missing and he gives them. And not just that, even Krishna's pure devotees have this capacity. Pure devotees walk the face of this earth because they know what is missing. They know what I am missing, what I'm lacking. This morning at the temple, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj came, and he's getting old, but still he's traveling. So his body might be frail, but his heart is full with compassion for other living entities. It's overflowing. So it's overflowing with love for other living entities. And he knows what they are missing. So he's ready to, risk everything, and he's out there because he knows what they're missing. And he's doing his best to give it to everybody across the world. So not just Krishna himself, but his pure devotees also have this capacity of yogakshemam vahamyaham. So that is why connecting with pure devotees is very fortunate. We are very fortunate if we have a pure devotee in our life. And it's also very fruitful for our bhakti. So it's all about reciprocation. So Krishna reciprocates. So Krishna is giving his expectation here that, Yogakshem, I'll carry everything, but as long as you do Ananya Chintayamam. It's not like a business deal that he's offering to us. It's not that, only when you respect me, I will help you. It's all about reciprocation, right? Like, rain falls equally everywhere. But then some places are barren, as they have been. But then some places, beautiful flowers come out, crops come out. The reason is because that land is fertile. Similarly, in our heart, when we have been properly tilling our land, if you're taking care of the land in our heart, as long as we have kept it fertile, when the mercy comes, we immediately see the reciprocation from Krishna, right? So the word yoga means to connect. So the yoga kshema. So yoga and yoga does not mean that only I do yoga. So when Krishna is also trying to connect with me. It's only not that I am trying to connect with him. He's also trying to connect with me equally. So Gajendra, in his prayers in the 8th canto, says that, Krishna, you're never inattentive. You're looking at me every single moment in my life. You're offering yourself to me in every single moment. It's just me that I have shut myself down. I have refused to be Ananyas Chintayanto. And Krishna cannot reciprocate if I close the door. If I have not been taken care of the soil in my heart, the ground, and I've not been properly taking care of it, removing the weeds, watering properly and everything, my Bhakti-lata Bij never grows. So this whole process is very scientific. It's not as if that is something mystical. The more we think about Krishna, it purifies us. And when we get more and more purified, our attractiveness towards Krishna increases. And then it becomes spontaneous at a time. So whenever I'm 24/7, my mind will be thinking of Krishna then. Right? And then we will become joyful, because that's the only way of becoming happy. In this material world, anything that seems happy does not make us happy. It's only actually the thought of enjoying something is more pleasurable than the thing itself, if you have noticed this. Yeah, as long as, I want this beautiful car, it's going to be tomato red in color, and it'll have leather seats and heated seats and so on and so forth. But the moment the car comes to my home, I'm worried that is somebody going to scratch my car? What if it gets into an accident? And so many things come. So in this material world, all pleasures come with a baggage of sorrows and miseries. But in bhakti alone is when we see Krishna's reciprocation. It's joyful, it's complete in itself. Because we get purified, we get attracted to Krishna, right? For me, as being in the beginning part of my bhakti process, I have to do it. I have to use my intelligence and be conscious of my activities. But higher stage, the mind immediately goes to Krishna spontaneously. Right? And when we start caring for someone, we care for the complete person. So Krishna is not saying that I will only take care of your spiritual needs. Material, I don't touch. I don't do anything. No, Krishna takes care of our material needs also when needed. He does that all the time. So it's a full package that comes our way. Right? We have two main fears in life. When I get something, I'm afraid of losing it. Secondly, I fear that what I need, I may not get it. These are genuine fears that plague us. So Krishna is saying, I will take care of that. So I take care of what you lack, right? And I will preserve what you have. But in the material world, it's opposite. Whatever I have, I am always struggling to preserve it. And then whatever I lack, I'm just worried I might never get it. So these fears are always there, right? So what is Krishna offering us here? Provision and protection. So the two words to take away from this verse is provision. Sorry. Provision and protection. These are the two assurances of Krishna coming from this verse. When we take care of whys of our life, that Krishna will take care of how. Why means, why am I suffering? Why is there is misery in my life? When those questions develop and I start reaching out to Krishna for them, then Krishna answers those whys, but he also takes care of how of my life. How am I going to eat food? How am I going to... Obviously, I'm not saying that we become very utopian in nature, right? We still need our feet on the ground. Like Prabhupada, right? Prabhupada would always have his head held high, but he was walking in this world. He knew that we all need money to run temples, and then he was thinking about that also. He was a pure devotee, but he was also thinking about that. Prabhupada, when he came to US, he came with 40 rupees. When he went back for the first time after his heart attack, he reached India. It was late at night, and he gave the rickshawala those 40 rupees. And the rickshawala asked for the whole 40 rupees because it was night and so on and so forth. And Prabhupada was very angry. And he says Prabhupada thought he was being cheated. Prabhupada would save, in the past, not in the past, even now, you put stamps on your letters, right? So once Prabhupada wanted to send a check to be deposited in the bank, and Prabhupada gave it to his servant, and he said, "Why don't you go and deposit these checks in the bank?" But then Prabhupada stopped him. Okay, tell me how much money is the rickshawala going to charge you from here to the bank? And the person said probably 2 rupees, 5 rupees, or something of that sort. Prabhupada said, okay, you don't go. I will mail these checks, because in mailing, I just have to put a 25 paisa stamp on it. So just imagine how deep Prabhupada was thinking. Even though he was a pure devotee, his mind was up in the, fully focused on Krishna. But then down deep, he's also not kind of thinking of a utopian world. Everything is perfect, So he had full faith on Krishna, but he was not living in a dream world. So similarly, Krishna takes care of us, but that doesn't mean that we just sleep the whole day and say, oh no, okay, Krishna, where is my dinner today? No, he wants us to, balance everything. And it's not that this reciprocation from Krishna is only available after we come to a specific level of bhakti. No, that's not the way. In the there is a verse in the 9th canto. If I can pull it out, give me 1 second. I might be able to pull it out. In the 9th canto, 4th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, obviously. It's the chapter of where Ambrish Maharaj is offended by Durvasa Muni. And I think it's one of the verses. I like that. So, yes, it's, I'm not sharing it. Okay. So 9th canto, chapter 4, verse number 48. So what does Prabhupada say here? So here what happens that when Durvasa Muni tries to kill Ambrish Maharaj, the Sudarshan Chakra immediately appears to protect Ambrish Maharaj. So what Prabhupada tells us here, where's that? So he's saying this protection is offered to a devotee even from the very beginning of his devotional service. Kanteya pratijanihi name bhaktya pranashati. If one simply begins devotional service, he's immediately protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshyasmi. Protection begins immediately. The Lord is so kind and merciful that he gives the devotee proper guidance and all protection. And thus the devotee very peacefully makes solid progress in Krishna consciousness without outward disturbances. Although an enemy of a devotee may be very strong, he is compared to an angry serpent before the fire of devotional service. So this is a very, if somebody want to make record of this, that it's available to everybody from the beginning. So this verse, just you can print this out, put it in your room. That even though I'm a beginner, but I have been offered Krishna's protection. Complete protection is available to me. So just imagine what a perfect process has been given to us. So there is a question. Does this
Prabhu,
apply? Yes, please go ahead.
I'm sorry. You said it's in Srimad Bhagavatam, 9 cantos.
It's
Chapter
9th
2?
canto, 4th chapter, verse number 48.
9 canto 4, verse 48. Thank you.
Yes. So the question is, does this apply even if your service is imperfect? Can you elaborate upon the meaning of the word imperfect? What do you mean by that? We lack knowledge, so we do not discharge it. Yes. So lacking knowledge is not the problem. The problem is that we don't want that knowledge, or we are just trying to show off. So it's not the lack of knowledge that's the problem. The problem lies in the fact that I refuse to accept that knowledge, close my eyes to it. Then Krishna cannot do anything. There is a story in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, or is it in Chaitanya Charitamrita? One of those. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in South India. There is this devotee sitting in the temple, and he's trying to read the Bhagavad Gita, apparently because he's illiterate, and he's crying. He's crying intensely. He's holding the book in his hand, just looking at the cover of the book or some other painting in the book, and he's crying profusely. And everybody around him is just laughing. He's saying, look at this guy, he's illiterate, he's trying to read the Bhagavad Gita. What does he know about it? And Mahaprabhu asks him that, why are you crying? Why are you crying? He asked that devotee. And the devotee said, my guru told me to read the Bhagavad Gita and I'm illiterate. And I tried to read it, obviously I cannot read it. But the moment I look at Krishna sitting as a charioteer and Arjun standing as the king in the chariot, and not just that, Arjun is guiding Krishna by putting his feet on his shoulders. So what happened that in the wars, when the king would be on the chariot standing, and obviously he cannot use his hands to tell his charioteer which direction to go in. So he would direct with his feet. So he would put a feet on the left shoulder of Krishna so that Krishna could move in the left direction, or on the right, or whatever way it will. So that devotee was crying because he's thinking that my Krishna has become a servant. He's become a charioteer just out of love of his devotee. So the essence of that story was that it's not dependent on how perfect I am in my bhakti process. Do I wake up at 3 in the morning every day? I take a bath and I sit down to chant with my with my back straight and my eyes half closed, as Krishna has talked about in the 6th chapter. And I don't eat on Ekadashis. I'm perfect on Ekadashis. That's all is valuable. I'm not refuting that. But the more important thing is that the intention has to be there. Krishna is Bhava Grahi Janardhan. Bhava is your intention. Grahi means he takes. Janardhan is Krishna. So he takes our intentions. Hope that satisfies your answer. That's your query, Ataji. Haribol Prabhu.
When you first asked that question, I said, well, it seems like a no-brainer to me. Just look at Arjun. He was lost. He was, he was totally, beside himself with every little thing that was going on. His job, his family, his own personal perspective. But there was one little thing Krishna said, because you're my devotee, I'm going to help you. And then I remember reading a few times, and it just blows my mind when I read it. It's just something, when I see Prabhupada says, by taking to this service to Krishna, you're not a loser. That word loser just trips me out. But when Prabhupada uses the word loser, and he says, you're not a loser, then I realize that, what other realization, when I was listening to you, I was thinking, what other relationship is there where if you just try to do the best that you can, everything else gets fulfilled. I mean, I try my best to be a friend of yours, okay? But sometimes I can fall short. well, then, you know, what do I get from you? Then I get what I deserve from you, a
Yeah.
reaction that's, you know, tit for tat. But this is way beyond that. You know, this is no matter how, like you say, even in the beginning. I mean, you might think, well, I have no qualification, but just taking a step in his direction, you're not a loser. Immediately, things are getting fulfilled. I mean, if we can just appreciate the fullness of a relationship where you just do the best and I'm gonna do the rest. I mean,
Yeah.
where is that? I mean, where is that? Where does that manifest? And if it just illuminates, someone illuminates it before us, like Srila Prabhupada or like you know, you bring out this point. I mean, then I just started thinking, yeah, that's right. I mean, this is so special, isn't it?
Yes,
I mean,
it is
it
very
seems so
special.
special to me. I just really
It is
like
very.
this,
Oh,
and I'm
yes.
not a loser.
Yeah, we're not losers. No, it's very beautiful, Prabhu, as you rightly mentioned. It's so amazing. Krishna is he's kind of practically begging to us to come to him. You know, he's waiting for us out of love. And he's telling me everything. You know, don't go that path, that's wrong. This path is wrong. You just come to me directly. I'll take care of everything. But unfortunately, I'm never able to. Uh, I was thinking a couple of days ago that, you know, how do I develop faith in Krishna? Krishna always says that, you know, have faith in me. Sarvdharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papibhyo mokshayasmi ma shucha. Don't worry. Krishna says that, but how do I develop that kind of faith? So I realized that that faith comes from observation and introspection. When I always observe that, yes, Krishna is protecting me everywhere. You know, and there could be incidents in everybody's life. You know, a few weeks ago, my car broke down in the middle of the highway. You know, it could have been so much worse. You know, my car I would have lost control over my car. It would have just, you know, toppled over or something could have happened. No, but Krishna took care of me. You know, and then eventually I called a tow truck and all that. But by observing very carefully what is happening in my life, and then introspecting on it, that's the way we develop faith in Krishna. And then some observations are much stronger, so we save them, and I write them down and I read them again and again. That you see, this is what happened, Premadam. You're feeling low today, but you remember how Krishna protected you a few days ago, or how he helped you. That's how we develop faith in Krishna, and that's what Krishna is trying to do, to get our faith up and going, and then everything will be perfect, will be fully joyful, right? And the reason he brings this, another way, if you look at this verse, is the reason Krishna brings this verse right after those two verses of going to demigod or going to heavenly planets and falling down, is that, you know, if you see it in context to those two verses, he's talked of karma kand, that, you know, you can enjoy this material world, go up higher, but again you're going to fall back. But that does not happen to his devotees. His devotees, as I quoted that verse from the 9th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, for us, right from the beginning, we are protected. The provision is available to us right from the beginning. He's revealing his personal intervention. As more and more he's getting deeper into Bhagavad Gita, he's revealing his personal intervention more and more, more and more. And in the end, he just wraps up saying, forget everything, you come to me, I'll take care of everything. But at least it takes time to develop that faith. And if you see the progression of Bhagavad Gita in the second chapter, verse number 40, Krishna says, Nehabi karmo naso asti pratyavayo na vidyate. Swalpamasi dharmasya trayato mahato bhayat. So nehabi karma naso asti. All fears are gone just by doing swalpam, a little bit of bhakti. So now he's personally, by this chapter, 9th chapter, he's personally telling us that I personally intervene to give you that fearlessness. Right? Prabhupada, when he came to US, he was not thinking, how am I going to eat? Where will I live? You know, or where will my clothes come from? This country is so cold. He was only thinking of preaching, and Krishna took care of everything. That is why Prabhupada is the best example that we can ever have for us to live our lives. And at least we can look up to him. Obviously, we cannot be like him, but look up to him is what we all can do. That how Prabhupada lived every single verse of Bhagavad Gita. This is a very important verse, and If anybody has any other thoughts before we move on, this is a very, very important verse of this whole book, Bhagavad Gita.
Prabhuji, can you repeat for me? You said Krishna is Bhava Jani. He takes our, and I didn't get the whole thing.
The phrase is Bhava Grahi Janardan.
Grahi. Okay.
So the word Bhava means intention. Grahi, Grahan, right? In Hindi we say Grahan, to Grahan karna, to take something. So Grahi means to take. Janardan means that's Krishna. So Krishna takes our intention. He's not worried about what the outwardly things are done. Obviously, that also matters. Obviously, it's not like because Krishna is not thinking about it, I just throw the plate at him, the prasadam plate at him. But even though my intention is good, so we don't do that. But obviously, he's looking at my intention. He's not necessarily looking at how well, am I giving him in a plate made out of gold? I might be a billionaire, I can do that. But he's not worried about that. He's thinking that with what intention or what consciousness have you made the prasadam for me, or made the food for me? It becomes prasadam once he eats it. But with what consciousness have you made the food for me? So that's what Krishna looks at. So he's Bhava Grahi Janardan. He's not worried about the other aspect, the presentation aspect. Any more thoughts, anyone, before we jump on to the next verse?
May I ask one question?
Yes, please.
I was wondering, at what point in the process, when someone resolves to take the power of Krishna, do they qualify as this? And I'll just give an example, which is in my yoga class, someone who maybe was partying a lot, they recently really reduced their partying. They started reading the Gita and they started doing japa. Okay. But although they've started doing that, they're still facing the bad habits that they have that pattern of being in. And so, but there's a very strong, genuine resolve to take Krishna's shelter. So is this person in the protection, or do they need to clean their act up a little more before they get there? This is the clarification I'm looking for, because even someone with bad lifestyle habits can have a very good bhav.
Sorry, what was the last phrase you said? Good bhav?
Bhav, they can have a good mood in their heart towards Krishna. Someone who maybe before they knew Krishna could have trapped themselves in certain bad structures, but their mood in their heart towards Krishna could be very, very good.
So you're saying the mood is good, but they're still struggling with the material world?
Yeah, the external aspects of their life. Their resolve and their attitude and everything is good in their heart, but just they're lacking some self-discipline, in the material aspects of their day-to-day life.
Yeah, no, that's a good point you bring out. See and I think I mentioned this in one of the earlier sessions, probably this came a second chapter. See, when we start bhakti, we go through 4 stages. There are 4 phases that we go through in confrontation with our desires. The first step is helpless failure, right? The helpless failure is those people who cannot even follow the 4 regulative principles, and because they cannot follow the 4 regulative principles, they cannot even come to bhakti. They cannot come to Krishna consciousness. Okay. So they said, oh, I cannot give up meat eating. Forget about coming to bhakti. I'm not going to come in there, for example. But there are some people who are able to overcome that. Those are the people is struggle in failure. Okay. So they think that, oh, I will try, but then we also see that we're always failing. And most of the devotees see that one day I feel, oh, I've conquered the world, and next day, I go down deep again, back to my earlier habits. So that's struggle in failure. But as we keep practicing bhakti, the phase that we get into is struggle in success. I make a determination, I take guidance, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, and then I succeed. But the struggle is still there. There is intense struggle. And the last one is effortless success, where everything goes beyond temptation. So now so you have these 4 categories: helpless failure, struggle in failure, struggle in success, and effortless success. At the same time, if you'll see, Krishna's mercy comes as grace in the beginning. And then when we are helpless failures, Krishna's mercy comes in. He sends devotees, he sends prasadam, association. And then we are able to come to the level of struggle and failure. We are still failing, but I have taken the next step. Okay, fine. I'll take up to chanting 16 rounds. But I'm still failing. I'm still failing. That's where I get to make a choice that, okay, I want to progress in this, and I'll keep struggling. Krishna, I'll keep struggling. I'll keep using my intelligence. I'll keep, associating with devotees, and I'll keep going on this path, even though I'm failing. Then comes struggle and success. And then how does the struggle and success comes? Because Krishna's grace comes in again. So grace, choice, grace. Initial grace coming, and then choice comes that I make a conscious choice. I mean, Krishna sees us making that conscious choice. Then we start succeeding in our struggles. And then as we keep struggling, then our purification of our heart happens. All the knots in our heart go away. And Krishna does it very, very smoothly. He will tell from within that, hey, Prem Dham, you have this problem. A couple of years ago, I'm ashamed to say this, but I realized that I have deep envy for many people in my heart. And Krishna made me realize this. Prem Dham, you think you're very pure, but you have such deep envy for so many people. And I very sincerely started working on it. And there are so many ways to do it. Obviously, we're not going to go into that, but then, so I try to work on that. Okay. So I was still failing, that many times that envy would come up, it still comes up, but I was succeeding also. At some points, I was able to control my mind to not go on that path. And then as I keep progressing, hopefully by Krishna's mercy and by Guru, Sadhu, Shastra's mercy, I will come to a level where it will be effortless success. So the person you're talking about, the person is still in the phase of helpless failure. So, sorry, struggle in failure, not helpless in failure, struggle in failure. He has come to a point of chanting, meditating, and doing bhakti, but still the material aspect, the ignorance and passion would keep pulling him towards them, and he keeps failing. But if he continues that, makes a conscious choice of not giving up those habits, of time will surely come, he or she will start, your friend will start succeeding. He'll go beyond that failure aspect. And it comes in different ways. Not everybody gets success in the same way. I mentioned, envy deep in my heart is still there, but I also see that I've succeeded. Many times I'm able to not let that envy, bring his head out again. So I'm succeeding because I have some amount of determination in my heart to continue this process despite of all that nonsense in my heart. And then, so I hope I touched on some points that are relevant for your question.
Yes, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes. And one thing I suggest, we should listen to acharyas, and my favorite acharya being Bhakti Vinod Thakur. I listened to his poems, Sharnagati, and then he wrote many other poems, and you can read them where he says such things that, there's one poem that he writes in Navati Bhava Taranga. There's a book that he wrote, a poem that he wrote, where he says that he's praying to Narsingh Dev, and he says that that I have so many things in my heart. He says, Kutinati Pratisthasha Satya Sadharaya. So he's saying Kutinati, I have Kutinati, I have duplicity, and I have pride in my heart. I have a tricking tendency to cheat others. So if a pure devotee is saying that, we can always go back and pray to Krishna, or even we can pray to acharyas. Please help us. So when we listen to such pure devotees, it has a purifying effect in our heart also, that I should also pray to Krishna in the same way. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur, all his prayers are in that very humble mood of saying, Krishna, I just give up. This mind of mine is beyond control. So you help me. So that also helps in the whole process. Okay. Okay, so do we want to move on to the next verse or anything else? Going one, going two, going three. Okay, so let's go to next verse. So again, I mentioned about the contrast. 2021, demigod worship, not good. 22, Yogakshema Mahamyam, I take care of everything. Positive. 23, again, Krishna is going to talk about the negatives. Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me. O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. So now Krishna is coming back and saying, okay, fine. He's come back to his demigod discussion that he's been doing. He gives in contrast. So those who worshipped other demigods faithfully, they're worshipping Krishna only, but it's improper. That's the important point to understand. Demigod worshippers also serve Krishna, but the word is, where's that word? Avidhi purvakam. That's the word. That's the wrong word. That's the essence to think about. It's avidhi purvakam. It's wrong. So many people in India, they misrepresent this verse. They say, oh, Krishna is also saying demigod worship is also worshipping him. But they skip the avidhi purvakam part. In the 7th chapter we read, Krishna calls demigod worshipper alpamedasam. That they are alpamedha. They are less in intelligence. It's used for demigod. So here the focus is avidhi purvakam. Demigod worship is not illegal. It's not wrong. It's a part of our Vedas. It's a part of our scriptures. But the thing to understand for us is that our Vedas are, our scriptures are progressive in nature. There is something for everybody, right? If if Premadam is well educated, and I say, oh, look at that second grader. His exam only includes A, B, C, D, E, F, G to write that. Why am I being given a complex exam of solving complex real life problems just because I'm highly educated? No. So I cannot go and give an exam of a second grader. That's not the way to approach the Vedas. Similarly, some Vedas or some parts of the Vedas are meant for people who are in ignorance, who are deep in passion, right? But then the purpose is not that even I should go and be in ignorance and passion. So that's foolish. So I should live according to my mental status and work according to that, right? Some people misuse our scriptures and say that, hey, in your scriptures, it's said that you're okay to eat meat. Yeah, that might have been said in our scriptures, but then the purpose is not to mean that we all should start eating meat, right? Yes, there's a hand up. Was there a hand up? Yes, Matri, please go ahead.
Yeah, Prabhuji. So because it says avidhi purvakam is a wrong way to pray to Krishna, right? So do we put the demigods away if we have them in the home? What do we do with them?
What do we do with the demigods, you mean?
Yeah. Like,
So,
I have, almost a lot of our Krishna devotees, prior to becoming fully fledged Krishna devotees, right? We have, Shankar Bhagwan, we have Ganesh, Parvati Ma, and so forth, So I always wonder, what do we do? I mean, I don't know.
so it's not wrong to pray to demigods. I just want to clarify that, right? It's nothing wrong in that. We have to understand that what is the role of demigods in the whole system. That's something we have to understand. Even our
to take you towards Krishna, right?
Yeah. So if you have that understanding, you should not stop worrying about demigod worship. You should be okay with that. For example, our Shastras have so many examples where, see, the whole gopis were going to Katyayani. Katyayani is a Durga, like Durga. They used to go to Durga and they would ask for Krishna as their husband. No problem. Krishna, nobody, in no acharya in their translations of Srimad Bhagavatam has said that the gopis were wrong in doing that. So demigod worship is not wrong. But when I take demigod worship as whole in whole, that, okay, I'm going to go to this demigod, if to get a good looking wife or a good looking husband or get a big house, sorry, then it's improper. Then it becomes avidhi purvakam. But if I am going to a demigod and understanding that demigod, that you are a representative of Krishna and I'm looking at you as a representative of Krishna, and then I pray to that demigod, there's no harm in that. When you go to any of our, for example, I'll give you an example here. If you go to Mayapur, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace, Yoga Peeth, right there is a small temple of Lord Shiva right in that campus. And whenever devotees go there, they pay their obeisances to Lord Shiva there. Because Lord Shiva is the protector of Dham, Lord Shiva. So we pay our obeisances to him there, and then we go to the main temple, and then we offer our obeisances to other deities and Mahaprabhu's birthplace and all so forth. So because we understand the role of Lord Shiva there. But if I say, no, okay, I'll just go to this demigod because this demigod is giving me material benefits, then that's improper, frankly. So that's the way to look at demigods. Does that make sense?
Okay, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. And many other, there are so many other examples in our Shastras. I gave you a couple, but there are so many others where devotees are seen worshipping demigods. And it's all okay. When gopis, when Krishna goes away from the Ras Leela, the gopis start looking for Krishna, and then Krishna appears as Vishnu. And the gopis see Vishnu, and they say, "Oh, he's Vishnu," and they offer their obeisances to him. But then what do? They ask, "Have you seen Krishna?" So that's demigod worship for us. So
thank you, Prabhuji.
You're welcome. Yes. So coming back to what we were discussing, so avidhi purvakam. So I was mentioning that how these our shastras, they are progressive in nature for different kind of people, right? So, but Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, they cut through everything, all the nonsense, and they give us the essence. In the Srimad Bhagavatam calls all the other shorts as Kaitava Dharma, cheating Dharma. Krishna himself says, give up all other, just come to me. Pure devotional service is what we are told. And sometimes, as I was mentioning, some people might say that, oh, meat eating is given in your Shastras. So it might be given, but then there is a reason why it's been given. Because there are some people who cannot give up meat eating. But Krishna is, just so anxious to bring everyone to him that he's saying, okay, you like eating meat, but eat it with this thought in mind, kind of a situation. Right? There is actually a verse that there's a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam which gives us that. It's the 11th canto, 5th verse, 5th chapter. Yes. Let me see if I found that verse. Sorry. Yes, okay, so just let me share this verse. I'll quickly come back to what we're saying. So in this material world, the conditioned soul is always inclined to sex, meat eating, and intoxication. Therefore, religious scriptures never actually encourage such activities. Although the scriptural injunctions provide for sex through sacred marriage, for meat eating through sacrificial offerings, for intoxication through the acceptance of ritual cups of wine, such ceremonies are meant for the ultimate purpose of renunciation. So the purpose of giving all this in our scripture is not to become meat eaters, to become wine or to drinkers, alcoholics, or to become intoxicated with sex. No, the purpose is that we could ultimately understand by offering them to Krishna, or by offering them to understanding their role, that they're eventually meant for me to rise to a higher level. That's the purpose. So if I'm so degraded that I cannot live without eating meat for even a day, and I have concocted ways of even saying to this extent that, oh, meat, this is not meat, this is vegetable. Some people call the fish as the vegetable of the sea or something of that sort of nonsense. But sorry, I'm not nonsense, but something of that sort. So that's just way of fooling ourselves. But the Bhagavatam tells us that the whole purpose of Shastra saying, even if the Shastra says such thing, is for our purification. So don't get confused or mixed up with that, oh, Shastras say this, so I can do it. So Shastras say demigod worship, but we should know the purpose behind it. Right? And reaching to Krishna is the direct process. Prabhupada is quoting a verse from the 4th canto, Yathataror Mool Nishechatena Tripante Tatskando Bhushaka, that when we pour water on the leaves and branches of a tree without pouring water on the root, that's not good enough. Don't try to go to the indirect method. Go to the direct method and offer the water to the roots, right? So then automatically all nourishment will go across the leaves or across the tree. So now again, a contrast. Krishna is saying, I'm the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. So Krishna is again giving a contrast here. The last verse was about bhakti, that hey, bhakti is perfect. But now he's saying if you don't understand this bhakti, then you're going to fall down. This is verse number 24. So he continues to give that verse, that contrast here. And the point of this verse is fall down. Right? 2021 demigod worshippers go to Swarga and fall down. 2022, on the other hand, those who worship me, I'll protect them forever. 23, demigod worshippers are worshipping indirectly. 24 says it is not appropriate because they will fall down. So Krishna talks of this similar concept also in the 5th chapter, the last verse. Bhuktaram yagya tapasam, sarva loka maheshwaram, suhirdam sarva bhutanam, gyatva mam shanti mirashyati. So here point is that ignorance of his position results in a fall down. So Krishna is not a generic, all-pervasive, all-inclusive kind of a God. It's not like, oh yeah, this path is also God. This will also take me to Krishna. This will also take me to Krishna. No, that doesn't work that way. Krishna is very clearly telling us. He's really giving us a very, very clear path of approaching him. Okay. Don't try to make everything goes to Krishna kind of a concept. We can do that if we understand the proper connection to Krishna. But why do we want to go through an indirect and a long process, complicated process? Directly, we should go to Krishna. Right? So that's the essence in this verse, that he's the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. But people who do not recognize my true transcendental nature, they fall down. And who are these people? Krishna has mentioned this. Ethakvena, Prithakvena, Bahuda Vishwato Mukham. The people who are impersonalists, they don't accept Krishna as a form. Secondly, demigod worshippers for personal enjoyment. Third, people who just look at this material world as a whole in whole. So those people, they don't understand Krishna's transcendental nature and they tend to fall down. Okay? So that's the essence of this verse. So Prabhupada is telling us, less intelligent persons, however, without knowing this fact, worship demigods for temporary benefit. Therefore, they fall down to material existence and do not achieve the desired goal of life. If, however, anyone has any material desire to be fulfilled, he had better pray for it to the Supreme Lord, and he will thus achieve the desired result. So this is a very interesting thing here, that even if we are looking for material desires, we should go to Krishna. Okay? Akama sarva kama mokshkama udharadi tivrena bhakti yogena yajita purusham param. Whatever you're looking for, akama, that is no desire, sarva kama, material desires, akama, sarva kama, mokshkama, desire for liberation, come to Krishna. That is right. So even though it's not pure devotion, it will still be considered as Mahatma. Right? 7th chapter, Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukriti narjano artho jigyasur artharthi jnani cha bhartashaba. 4 types of people come to me, even though they are not pure. Someone is looking for money, somebody is just in distress. That's okay. But you come to me and you have understood me as the supreme, that I'll take care. I'll take that as positive. So coming to 25. This is a very often quoted verse by Prabhupada. Yanti deva vrita devan, pitrin yanti pitrvita, bhutani yanti bhuteja, yanti madhyajino apimam. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. This is interesting. So Krishna is clarifying that, okay, different paths lead to different positions if you don't understand me as the goal. All paths are not going to take you to the same goal. Right? So we have Prabhupada's mercy that Prabhupada has given us this right process. And he's made this very practical for us.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
So that's we are we are all very fortunate. Sometimes we can just ignore this fact or just brush it aside, saying that how can I be a part of something so significant? No, we all are a part of something significant. We are seeing a momentous thing happening in this world. Momentous thing happening here. So so that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of what Prabhupada has given us, okay, which nobody else has ever given in the history of mankind. What Prabhupada has given us, you know, not to kind of say that other gurus have not done anything significant, but you know, but what Prabhupada has done, nobody has been able to do it. So we are very, very lucky. We are a part of something significant, right? If when you go to Mayapur and you see that temple coming up, and you contribute to it, whatever little you can, you see that what a momentous thing is happening there. We are creating the world's biggest temple for Krishna. And it's high-tech. It's not a common temple. It's very high-tech. Fingerprinting, retina scans, and so on and so forth for pujaris. There are separate elevators for pujaris
Prabhuji,
coming.
you're muted.
Sorry, I'm muted. You cannot hear me?
No, we can hear you, Prabhuji.
You can hear me? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So Asmita Mataji. Okay. Yes. So something momentous. We're a part of something momentous. Okay. So yes. So that's what Krishna is saying, that not all paths will bring you to the ultimate destination, because we are doing it avidhi purvakam. We are doing it with an improper way. Yeah. 25. The Krishna consciousness movement is therefore distributing sublime information to the entire human society, to the effect that by simply chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one can become perfect in this life and go back home, back to Godhead. Yeah. So we have full authority or full approval from Prabhupada and Krishna that we can go back home, back to Godhead in this very life. We have full provision for that. We have full backing from Krishna. Krishna is fully supporting us. All I just need to do is be sincere in my effort. Strict, serious, and sincere sadhana. S to the power 4. Okay. This is a very famous verse coming to 26. Okay. So what Krishna is now going to, let me see, the time is 8:18. Let's see if we can finish this verse here. Anything anybody's mind before I get into this verse? You bring out or want to highlight? Nobody? Okay. So this is a famous verse. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti uparatam ashnami prayat atmanaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. So when we worship demigods, the process is elaborate and complex. Traya Vidya, Vidya of the Vedas. But Krishna worship is simple. So what Krishna is emphasizing here is two things in this, which are very important. Bhakti uparatam. This is a very important phrase. Bhakti uparitam, which means with devotion offers. No, sorry. It is Bhakti uparatam. No. Bhakti upar, offered in devotion. Yes. Offered in devotion. That's one thing that Krishna meant. Offered in devotion. Ashnami priyat atmana. Priyat atmana is the next verse that Krishna is saying. Can you all still hear me? My headphones are about to run out of battery. Can you all hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. And the next, so these are two words that Krishna is highlighting in this: Bhakti uparatam and Prayat atmanaha. So we were talking about Bhavagrahi Janardhan, right? So anything that's offered in devotion and from one in pure consciousness. So these are the two prerequisites Krishna is emphasizing upon. So how does Krishna reciprocate? Krishna reciprocates by his mercy, right? It's Krishna's mercy that he accepts our service. Also remember that. So Krishna is very, very merciful that first he gives us service, and then he lets us do service, and then he also accepts our service. Right? And don't just think that it's it's very easy. Don't just expect that. It's not that if we have everything, oh, yeah, I go to the temple, temple is right there, I can go anytime I want to. Don't take that for granted. You have been given that. Krishna is accepting it. He's giving his mercy. That's why we are able to do that. Right? I had a friend, there was a Rath Yatra in LA this weekend, 6th or 7th of August. One of my friends in LA, I wanted him to go to the Rath Yatra. I just thought, hey, it's a big festival. He's an American, Afro-American. And so he's never been to a Rath Yatra. And I told him, hey, why don't you go there? It's a beautiful Rath Yatra. And he was planning. But last week, he lost his phone. And he lost all the details I had sent him about the Yatra. And so it became very hard for him because he doesn't have a car. And he would have taken a bus, and he noticed that the bus would take him like a couple of hours to reach that location. And so many other things came in. So what I'm telling you is that don't expect that everything is happening smoothly and it's all easy. Temple is right across my house. Deities are right there. I see them all the time. Don't become complacent. So don't do that. It's Krishna's mercy that he's letting us do that. So don't take it casually. Understand that it's Krishna's mercy happening. Duryodhan had bought in food from all exotic locations in the world. When Krishna went as a messenger to avoid the war, Duryodhan had bought in food from all over the world, and he had thrown an elaborate feast in honor of Krishna. So Krishna refused to eat in his house. But what does Krishna do? He goes to Vidura's house unexpectedly, because Vidura is a pure devotee of Krishna. And what's more, what does he eat there? Vidura's wife is so enamored by seeing Krishna there, she forgets that she's throwing away the banana and offering banana peels to Krishna. And Krishna eats that. So, because it's Bhakti Uparita and it's Prayat Atmanam. That's what Krishna is asking from us also. Right? And there are examples in our Shastras full of these. Pushpam, Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, Toyam. Pushpam, right? Gajendra. He offers Pushpa to Lord Vishnu. Narayana Akhila Guru Bhagavan Namaste, he says. While offering the flower, he says that. So, Pushpam. And that Pushpa was more than enough for Vishnu to come and protect him. So, there are examples of all these everywhere in the Shastras. Right? There is a story of Patram, leaf, that there was I'm not sure if I fully remember this story, but there was Krishna was playing a game and he loses the game, and he loses himself in the game to his wives in Dwarka, and then to be won back, they say, okay, I give Krishna, Krishna's weight equivalent to gold, and they put that gold, but still Krishna is heavier. But then they put a tulsi leaf, and then that kind of balances everything. So that's why we put tulsi in our food. Krishna does not like to eat food without tulsi in that. So many times I forget tulsi, and then I realize, oh my God, I have to reoffer the food. So I sometimes do that. But so leaf, patram pushpam phalam toya. Right. So expression is not what he's looking for. He's looking for love. Right. But that doesn't mean if we have millions, we still offer leaves to him. Right? When we have devotion towards somebody, we offer the best. Sudama brings chipped rice, that delights Krishna. Right? So there was a hand up. Asmita ji, please go ahead.
Yeah, Prabhuji, personal story. We went to Lowe's, and some lady brought a plant she didn't like, and so the cashier, she basically was putting the plant in the garbage. I said, no, don't throw it away. I'll take care of it. I guess, her pot broke and she didn't want it. So I took the, plant. I offered her money. She said, no, there's no money because I already gave her the refund. So you don't have to give me money. Anyway, long story short, the plant was so lucky, or is so lucky. The plant is sitting in my temple in a big pot, and is getting tulsi water every day after I offer it to, Krishna, and it's growing like crazy. So
You
Yeah.
know, yeah, the plant is smiling too, Prabhuji, just like you.
Yeah, no, that's the beautiful. Yeah, see, and we can all offer that, right? You can offer that. You offer that plant to Krishna,
Yeah.
or whatever flowers come into it. Krishna becomes so happy just with those tiny expressions, right? He became so happy when he saw that chipped rice that Sudama had brought. So he was just like filling up his mouth with it. Rukmani had to stop him, Mother Rukmani. So yes, so he's looking for that love. He's hungry for that love. When in Brad Bhagavatamrita, oh, I realized those of you who requested Brad Bhagavatamrita, I have copies of them, and I've ordered them, and they're here. So I'll give it to you sooner or later. Yeah, I ordered 5 copies. I think 3 of you asked me, but if anybody else wants, I have another extra copy. But so when Gopakumar reaches Golok Vrindavan, Krishna comes running and he says to Gopakumar, I have been waiting you for such a long time. Where have you been, my friend? And he hugs him so tightly and then he faints. He's so much in ecstasy of seeing his friend. But the friend was not bringing any golds or jewels to him, but he was bringing his pure love for him. So that's what Krishna is looking for. So one thing to understand here or to point out here is Krishna doesn't mention flesh in here. That's significant, right? So so we don't offer that, obviously. That doesn't make sense. And we can also offer to deities, right? Obviously, we offer to deities. Deities also accept like Krishna, an actual, no, real Krishna would do. There's a beautiful story of Raghunandan Das Thakur. Raghunandan Das Thakur was a child when Mahaprabhu was around, and Mahaprabhu blessed him. And he had his Gopinath deities in his family. And one day his father, Mukunda Das, told him to offer laddus to Gopinath. Right? So he said that I'm leaving today. I'll not be here. Please give him something to eat. And Raghunandan Das offers laddus to Krishna. But he was just a child, and out of his simplicity, he said to Gopinath, you eat. He was like that. And Krishna said, okay, he's controlled by love. And so he did as the child told him. And he ate everything on the plate. So when Mukunda Das, that boy's father, returned in the evening, he asked the boy, okay, bring me the prasadam which you had offered. The child said, but father, Krishna ate all that. He left no remnants. So Mukunda Das was astonished, and he said, okay, I don't believe you. It's like you ate it. So again, next day he went and he told Raghunandan that offer again. So again, he placed laddus in front of Krishna, and he started commanding, eat, Krishna. And so Krishna comes out, he's eating. But then Krishna sees that Mukunda Das was watching from the doorway. So the Krishna doesn't eat that laddu anymore. So there's a half-eaten laddu in his hand, right? So that caused Mukunda Das also to be filled with love, but he embraced his child. And to this fortunate, there is a town called Khanda, is that somewhere in West Bengal, where they still have a temple where there is a half-eaten laddu in the hand of Gopinath. So Krishna is looking for love out of the love he sees. So that's about prasadam. So I'll pause here. I wanted to speak more about prasadam, but we can continue this next week. But because 8:29, I want to see if anybody has last minute thoughts, and we can wrap up. I can talk more about prasadam next week when we come back in. It's important to understand the role of prasadam and how does it the thought behind it, so forth.
Haribol.
Haribol, Prabhu.
What was that? The last part you said, the half-eaten laddu.
Yes.
So what happened there?
It was Raghunandan Das Thakur. Raghunandan Das Thakur was one of Mahaprabhu's associates.
Okay.
And when he was a child, his father told him to offer something to Gopinath, their Gopinath deity at home.
Okay.
And Raghunandan Das was a child, but he was full of love, and so he offered laddus and he forced Krishna, and he said, eat, Krishna, you eat. And Krishna, out of love, actually ate those laddus. But then when his father came back in the evening and asked for the prasadam, the child said, oh, father, the Krishna ate all those laddus. How can I give you any prasadam? So next day, Mukunda Das, his father, Raghunandan Das Thakur's father, told him, okay, again you offer today, I'm going. So Raghunandan Das again offers laddu, and again in a commanding voice says, eat, Krishna. Krishna is eating the laddu, but Krishna notices that Raghunandan Das Thakur's father, Mukunda Das, was watching from the
Oh.
corner of the door.
Oh,
And that's why Krishna stops eating it there. So
okay.
there is a deity of Gopinath eating a half-eaten laddu in there's a small town down in West Bengal, Khanda. So I'm not sure, it might be even in Bangladesh, but yeah. So this fortunate people come from all over the world to see it.
Nice.
So it's a beautiful story. Krishna reciprocates with devotees, unfortunately. Fortunately, but we need some amount of purity to see that reciprocation. I still Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochane. Now my eyes have to be tainted with the ointment of love to see that reciprocation happening. Okay. So we'll wrap up. It's 8:31.